Okay, so we are moving through. We have this week and next week, and we're done with the Slight Edge. And one of the things that I have found through this is that has changed my daily intentional living. Because how about this? What if I told you you only have to get 1% better? Or what if I told you that by tomorrow you need to have course corrected and completely changed, like 100% change of direction? Well, that just seems like the pressure is so great, it's crushing. But if I say 1% better each day, that creates in me a freedom to feel like this is achievable. I can do this. So that's what I love the most about this book. So we're going to get into all of the talks about mastering the slight edge. What does it look like moving into the future or living in the past? All of that. But before we get going, does anybody have a shout out that they want to give for something they've accomplished in their business in the last week? Or someone on their team they want to shout out? You can even put it in the chat.
I did my first live today.
Okay, tell me about it. It wasn't accidental from the bathroom, right?
No, no, I just woke up this morning. I've had my reset box for a month and I'm like, what are you waiting for? So I took all my measurements, did my weight, and I thought, you know what? Forget it. I've got those selfie sticks. Everybody needs a selfie stick because it made me feel so much better, like having that stationary. And yeah, and I just went on and I just said, I'm doing this. I explained what it was. And I don't know, like so many people have watched it already. Yeah, I've never done a live before, so it was awesome.
I'm really impressed. And I was listening to Emily Gibson on a call one time, and she said there was one particular morning she just didn't feel like doing anything on social media. She had just worked out, but she decided, forget it. I said I was going to do it. I'm just going to go live. She said it is her greatest watched live. It has like 50,000 views, something crazy, when she didn't even feel like doing it. And it comes to my mind, the less you plan it and the more just who you are regular, the more interested people are. Isn't that interesting? And then so I hope that encourages all of you just to do it. Just go live. Lives used to be really huge when we first kind of started working our businesses in Plexus. Then it's like they took a back seat, but now they're back. And if you are sitting here thinking, I'm at the end of the month, I feel like I've done everything. I've messaged people, I've posted, I've tried to run a messenger chat event. If you have not gone live, I would go ahead and say every day until the end of the month about any topic whatsoever, go live every day. You'll be shocked by how much that increases engagement and interest for you.
Don't wait. I mean, don't wait. Like that's what I did. I'm like, just do it for gosh sake. And it was the most natural thing. I watched it. I'm like, I'm not unhappy with this. I'm like, and I was just myself. It was really weird because I've been told for years, do lives. And I'm like, I got to do this. And I don't know what happened this morning, but I was just like, and I think honestly, having the courage to start the reset gave me the courage to go live. But if you think about it, it won't, like if I thought about it for even 60 seconds, I think I wouldn't have done it. So like, if you think about it, like Jennifer said, just do it and it'll be just fine.
It makes me think of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with Mel Robbins. I almost said Mel Gibson, Mel Robbins, because you just got to do it, right? And congratulations, by the way. So Heather Langford, she's talking about how she scheduled coaching calls for August for her team. Now, if you were on one of the 10-10-10s and we talked about coaching, it can seem daunting, but honestly, it's just almost like you're a facilitator. You are the person helping someone get from where they are to the answers they already know, without having to be an expert. So that's really impressive, Heather. And I'll tell you, this is my struggle with coaching calls. I can't ever keep them in the time frame I set out. I say, oh, it's only going to be 30 minutes. Well, I can't stop talking. It's bad. So that's just a little side note. And then Terry's talking about how she helped a level 1 that hadn't ordered in a really long time get started with the reset and help her sign her own level 1. So that's really exciting. Pat has a new silver and senior silver. 2 other customers, Terry said that she has it shared. And let's see, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yep. It's really fun to see people celebrating the things that are moving them forward in the business, because here's just a question. Everyone that shared something good that they're doing, do you also have something that's not going very well? Don't tell me what it is. Just say yes or no. People that are telling me that they have something great happening, do you also have something not so great happening? Yes or no? Yep. 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 Okay. So science wins. Every person that has something great going on also is saying, but yes, I also have something not so great going on. And that is the biggest struggle and hurdle for people to overcome, because they want to only look at the evidence that proves they won't get from point A to point B, or they allow that to be the thing that drags them down, puts them in a terrible mindset. I'm really impressed. Oh, and yes, hold on. Clint, what, 19? 19? Okay, because I saw Clint on the leaderboard, and I literally said this when I was going through, I went, I know him, just like that. I was so excited. Congratulations on that. That's huge. 19. Okay, you have to unmute, Clint, and tell us what you're doing. Somebody. Just
He
tell
said
us.
he's at work.
Oh, darn, darn, darn. Well, why don't we make a plan for you to share later? Because I want to know what you're doing. That would be amazing. All right, so we've got people that are sharing their wins. We're ready to go now. We're going to talk about the Slight Edge. We are in chapter 11 to 14, right? Let me make sure that I have that right. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is open up your book, if you have it, to page 164. It's really super simple. It's just this picture I want you to look at and kind of just hold that off to the side and use it to reference, because what we're going to talk about is, honestly, when you look at this picture, doesn't it look like the simplest thing in the whole wide world? You just see two people, where I am and where I want to be, and you see this oscillating line. So it's really not that intense of an understanding of it. You just look at it and you're like, okay, I get that. But let's really break this down. When you look at where you are today, you're in point A, and you have all of these choices for setting goals for, if you remember, we did the up or the down with your health, your finances, your personal development, your contribution that you're making to the world. Mastery begins the very moment that you take your first step from point A to point B. The problem is that oscillating line that's going up and down. Go ahead and look at that. Every time that line goes up, you're living with the future in mind. You're thinking, that dream is so big, it pulls me, it draws me. I'm already living in that belief of what that will look like and feel like. I'm visualizing it. So that's when the line is up. And then sometimes, like a normal human would, humans will start to retract back to the past. But remember that time when you tried before, Jennifer? Or it's so much easier not to dream like that, because if I don't make it, then I don't have any failure. So there's so much that's involved in this oscillating line: fear of success, fear of failure, fear of judgment. And then when we get into that positive place of really wanting to dream and visualize, failure begins that moment that you step off of this path. So I would say, tell me what you think about this quote. Wanting is uncomfortable. Do you agree or disagree? Put that in the chat. Wanting is uncomfortable. If you agree with that. Yeah, wanting is uncomfortable. And what I would want for each one of you is to say, I desire uncomfortability, which sounds really strange, but you also need to be curious about that. Because if your brain hears you say, I want to be uncomfortable, it's like, actually, no, you don't. But the truth is you do, because wanting becomes the essential ingredient for winning, to get you from A, where you are, to where you want to be. So there's two ways to kind of close this gap from A to B, to get from where you are and where you want to be. Number one, you can just let go of where you are currently and be drawn to your goal. And then when I say that, the first thought I have is, do you know what that is? So does someone on here want to share a very clear goal that you have? And it can be in any category, with your health, with your finances, with your family, with your marriage, with anything that you want to share, just a very clear goal that you have currently. Can someone share?
I'll share.
Go for it.
So I'm wearing my green shirt today and my green necklace.
Yep.
I am gonna go for Emerald this month, and it's kind of scaring me, because I can't do it unless God wants it to happen. I need 60 more people outside of subscriptions in this last week, which is huge. But yet when you break it down, I have like 8 credit card or 10 credit card declines, like there's tons of people that have turned off their subs or they have to do things and whatever. And there's old people that might want to come back and people that can bump their subscriptions up. So it's not really 60 new people, right? It could be 30 new people. And I have a couple of people that are going for it. I have like 12 people starting the reset today. So there's potential, like it could happen, or you know what, it couldn't. But if I don't try for it, it's not going to happen, And so I'm like, you know what? God, you can do it. I'm just going to go for it and kind of see what happens. And yeah, my dad passed away. Sorry. My mom lives in Hawaii and I really wanted to go see her. And so I'm kind of like adding that on as like my extra umph of earning this trip. I was talking to my mom's friend the other day and she was like, are you coming to Hawaii soon? I'm like, not unless I win this trip. And she's like, well, unless I earn this trip. And she's like, well, what can I do to help you? She's like 80. She's like, can I order something? What can I order? I want to help you get to Hawaii. And so here's my credit card. So she totally just ordered. And then she's like, you know what? And can you please go reserve that cabin at Bellows on the beach so that I can come visit you when you're here? Just do that in faith right now that it's going to happen. So anyway, that's my goal.
I love it. And I also love that Pat has the exact same number as you. So Jill, you need to get in touch with Pat. Maybe you can cheer each other on to finish this week out for the month. Let me tell you something. When you said that, I just thought to myself, 50 orders, 50 people that are already ordering that get one person to do the reset.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's totally, I've had like, I don't even know, 80 people do the reset. Can everyone just get one? Can you get your best friend or your mom or your sister? Done, right? I mean,
yeah,
totally
everyone get one, and then maybe they're in a drawing for like, I don't know, a free something, we just did this. If you share the reset and get someone to order.
I saw that on your post and I copied it. I copied it in my group.
Okay.
And then I thought, you know what? I haven't done round 2. And I'm like, it's been a month. So I'm like, I'm going to start my round 2 today. And that will just give me more results. Like, why not?
Jill, that's really smart. You're like, I'm going to go ahead and create that buzz again by doing it.
Right.
Oh, that's
just
good.
Do it and get my husband to do it as well. So let's see what happens. He'll probably lose 25 pounds, Anyway.
Don't even get me started on men, how quickly they do it. Okay. So I'm writing down Pat and Jill. Does anyone else have a goal for Emerald this month that they can put in the chat? Okay. So if you're of the praying kind.
Yeah. Lisa B. She's up with me. And by the way, speaking of people, if you want someone to go and talk about their success, Lisa B has added a bazillion trillion. How many people, Lisa, have you added this month? Like 20. She's on the leaderboard in 3 different categories.
Are you serious? See, we need to get all these people sharing. Lisa, are you up for sharing for a second on what you feel like is a simple action that you're taking that's bringing big results? Tabitha?
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Lisa.
I cannot show my face because I haven't taken a shower yet, because when you're going for Emerald, you don't take a shower in the morning until you're done doing all your messaging from the night before. I haven't even brushed my teeth, but I have my hydrate and my coffee. And I was like, I got to jump on this power hour because I need some inspiration today for sure.
All right. Well, tell me what you think you're doing or what you're doing that's a great action we could all duplicate.
I call it raising the dead.
Okay.
I'm honestly getting into my old back office, like from 2 years ago, printing out those sheets, like downloading it, sorting it, and going and reaching out to every single one of those people that are no longer using Plexus and telling them about the reset and my success. I've lost 20 pounds this month using the reset and just following up with that. And it's just been, I think, using the reset and being a person of the product is really helping me. And also just knowing that it works for everybody pretty much. I mean, I haven't had one person that said it didn't work for me. It's working for absolutely everybody. And it is the gold right now for everything. It is the thing that really is working, and it's the thing that's selling for me. the reset welcome packs. Plus, when you get, I'm having a lot of people add their spouse or their friends or whatever and earn $50 back. So that's been gold too.
The earning $50 back is a great approach because I've been going with the whole, if you share with 3, you get the 500, but you're right. If you say refer one and get 50, that actually is really smart and makes it seem more manageable. And then maybe gives them a taste for wanting to keep going.
Then I
Yeah.
send them the graphic. Hey, look what happens if you get 3
That's really
after
smart.
they get the 1.
You know what you're doing? You're doing the whole, how do you eat an elephant? Just one bite at a time. You're not giving them the fire hydrant experience. You're giving them, the one step at a time. I'm grabbing a video, which you guys may or may not have seen. How do I do this on my computer? Give me a second, because it might start playing.
One simple but brilliant trick to cool your
I have
home
to
in
turn
90
this off.
seconds.
Okay. I'm grabbing the link. I just dropped the link in the chat. This has been something, I know we're going all over the place, but when we're talking about reset, I got to share this. Every person that's been asking me about this in the last week, I say to them, hey, literally take 5 minutes and sit down and watch this and come right back and tell me what you think. No one has come back and said, I'll think about it. They all say, okay, I want to do it. And I'm going to see if my husband will do it with me too. It is such a belief builder. It's Jessica Hugendorn. She goes through and explains exactly what the reset is in such a way that it's understandable, it's manageable, it's in bite-sized pieces. So I'm using that big time. The other thing that I've used this for is people that have already done the reset and I didn't know about this video. I go back to them and say, I didn't have this when you did the reset, but man, it's really amazing to me what it actually did to your body. Will you watch it? So then they watch that. And I'm already pointing them towards their reset in August. I'm like, okay, so let's go ahead and plan doing this again in August. So that video is really, really great. Use it to get people to do the reset, to get them to do it again, build belief. And then here's a tip for you. Unless you just think you would not be able to do this in an authentic way, I would watch that video, take notes, and make one yourself. And use it to send to your people so that they actually feel like they're being put in the hands of somebody that really wants and understands what this can do, like really believes in what it is. She added 40. You switch those numbers, Lisa. There's no way you added 41. There's got to be 14. Oh my goodness. Lisa for president. So she made a video. She's sending it to everyone. 41 level 1s. All right. Okay. So that's amazing. I put down Pat, Jill, Lisa, Cindy, Tina, and Tabitha. If I missed anyone, let me know. That all are within coconut distance of hitting Emerald this month. So I want to make sure if you're of the praying kind, will you put those names down somewhere, just a Post-it note, put it somewhere that you're going to see it, and just, I call them popcorn prayers because you're just kind of throwing it up there. Just every so often you think about it, you're like, oh, Pat, Jill, Lisa, Cindy, Tina, and Tabitha. And if you're not of the praying kind, then send your positive happiness in that direction, encouragement, celebration, all of those things. Sarah's 11 years in. She just signed her 12th this month with the reset. Amy said, I'd be happy to hit gold. I'd be, or I will be. When you actually say it in the affirmative, like it's going to happen, there's a reason why people say I'd be happy, because they don't actually think. They see all of the stops in the middle. They see whatever the hurdle is. They don't actually see that end goal of gold. You see the hurdle. And I hope I'm not calling you out, but I'm just saying, when you can't say when I am or when I will be, it's because you see the hurdle and it looks far bigger than that end goal. And that's okay, because you're human. And then part of the human experience is we don't like to be uncomfortable. We just said that wanting is uncomfortable, but we must desire that in order to move forward. So I'm moving back into what we were talking about mastering the slight edge. I didn't even know I was going to be able to transition that well. So chances are, when you step onto the path of mastery, which is all of what chapter 11 is mastering the slight edge concept. When you step out, the chances are you are going to be stepping out alone. It's, you know how much easier it is when people say, I'll do that. And yeah, I'll do it too. And let's all do it. Most of the time, people that step out in this way are starting off on their own. And that is terrifying because you have the fear of the unknown. You have the fear of lack of accountability. You have the fear of what if I fail? You have the fear of judgment because all eyes on you. So chances are you are stepping out alone. But if you're willing to do this, if you're willing to master the slight edge, imagine how much you're living in the future with responsibility instead of living in the past with victimization and blame, which are both really good feelings, by the way. When you victimize yourself, and you can fight me on this because I really believe it's true. When you put yourself in the victim position, it really does feel good. You're like, oh, if somebody hadn't done this to me, it does. It feels good. But what does it actually grow for you? What fruit comes from that? Nothing. So let me move on. I want to go ahead and get into, because we're going to actually use that video to do some activities today. Exactly what we talked about. But let's talk about in chapter 12, investing in yourself. When you guys filled out the up or down arrow, and if you missed that, let me just remind you what it was. I said on the very first day, let me look at my sheet here. The very first day I had you put down, are you living on the up curve, meaning headed upwards, 1% growth and the success curve, or are you living in the down curve, the failure curve, away from where you would want to be in these categories? I said health, up or down, happiness, up or down, friendships and relationships, up or down, personal development, living up or down, finances, career, and your positive impact on the world. And so that to me would be something I would have on a Post-it note or on your dry erase board in your office. And it would be a really great place for awareness for you to know where it is that you see yourself heading and where it is that you want to be heading. It's a really good way to help you. I like the word course correct, but investing in yourself is a really big part of this. And most of us don't know how to do that. Investing in ourselves, it can be listening to podcasts, reading books, but also has very much to do with who's mentoring you and who your heroes are and who you're following. Those are all really important parts of this because it affects it so much. Another thing about investing yourself is most of us do this thing where we really work hard in one area to grow ourselves, but we don't think about the fact that we do it's almost like the anecdote to personal growth. We're in chats or we're friends with, or we spend unbelievable hours on the phone with people that literally have the opposite effect. As we grow, it also works to anchor us back down. You in chats that remind you of all the things that don't work, won't work, and won't happen. Is anybody in a chat that does that for them? Can't work, it won't work, it didn't work, they should have, we should have, he should have, they should have. If you're in one of those chats, you cannot invest in yourself with that voice in your ear. Get out. That's right. Get out. So the wisest investment that you can make is to invest in your learning and your development. You can study, you can learn by doing. Let me tell you about when I worked at Starbucks, they just said, we have this philosophy, and it's called tell, show, do. Sounds really simple. And I always wanted to skip all of that and just do. Don't give me all the details. I just want to do it and do it my own way. Well, ultimately you end up learning from errors, but why have errors if you can actually do that model of tell, show, do? So here's what it is. And you can use this in your business. You can use this in all areas. It's so simple. First thing you do is tell someone how to do whatever it is. So let's just say it's a Facebook event. You tell them how to do it. And then you might even have like a Google Doc that has instructions. You might have some graphics saved, but you're just telling them how to do it. Then the next thing you would do is show them how to do it. Actually run a Facebook event. Let them be in the group, watching you do it, watching the posts that you put up, watching you go live and share about it. The next step after that, after you've told them how to do it and you've shown them how to do it, you have them do it themselves. And this is really kind of hard because they view you as the quote unquote expert and they don't want to do it. And you might even view yourself as the expert. Personally, my struggle is sometimes letting people do it because I'm afraid, what if it's not as good? Well, how does someone ever grow or get better unless you give them that opportunity? And it may not be as quote unquote good, but it will reach the people it's meant to reach. So tell, show, do. I like Mary says she uses see one, do one, teach one. Nursing concepts. Okay. So Let's keep talking about investing in yourself. This book is an investment in yourself. Can someone share something that they are currently doing? It could be coaching. It could be another book. It could be a counselor that you're seeing. It could be a mentor that you have. It could be a number of things, but something that you're doing that's investing in yourself and you are feeling the growth that's coming from it. Does someone have something they could share about that? Thought coaching. Do you have a coach for that, Melissa? Or are you reading or watching videos? What are you doing? Okay. That's great. Yeah, Leslie, you know what's interesting? Okay, so you pay, I think it's $59 a month. And Emily Gibson does,
I got it early, so it's cheap. It was cheaper.
of course your dad. Tell
I'm
me
so
again.
cheap.
No, you're not. You're just always on top of things. Okay, so remind me how it works. There's 4 days of coaching and then 1 day of Q&A.
Yeah, of Ask Emily Anything. And you make appointments 3 days a week if you want to. And then 2 days a week, she has blocks of time, and then you can just appear in that time and ask whatever. Just raise your hands and ask whatever personal thing. On Friday, it's Ask Emily, and all holds are barred. You can ask her anything.
And I always catch it on the members only podcast. I'm never on there live, but I would listen to it every time I drive now, every time. And I love it so much because okay, so is it Fridays when she plays the song?
Yeah, Friday's song day.
Okay, so she'll play a song and you have to use her coaching model to identify what these lines would fall into. Is it a circumstance? Is it a thought?
Right.
Is it a feeling?
Right.
Is it an action? Is it a result? And it has allowed me to start doing that in my life. But honestly, guys, whatever it is you're doing, you're going to be able to use the tools that you get from that. So someone said exercising has become part of their personal growth. Tabitha is hosting her own book study, Failing Forward. And when you first start hosting a book study, at least this was my experience, I felt like I broke out in red splotchy hives because people are there giving you their time and you're like, am I going to add value? Am I going to do this right? Well, that means you will, because you care enough to know that you're really giving them the best use of their time. So yeah, Emily's program, let me look up here and see if anyone else, I'm taking a course to be a nutrition coach, which is awesome. Listening to Audible books, leading a Bible study for the ladies at church. All of these are really, really great ways for you to grow and allow yourself to stretch. Let me look and see here. Another thing to share about this. Okay. Most of your life, which is like pretty much 99.999%, is made up of things that you do on automatic pilot. And you'll know this is true if you actually sit down and write down things that you do, even unknowingly. Like back to Emily, someone was saying how they just don't feel like they're organized enough to have a routine. And I guess she's disappointed in herself for that. And Emily turns around and says, I bet you have way more routines than you realize. She's like, no, I don't. She goes, do you wake up every morning and pee? Like, is the first thing you do every single morning? And she's like, yeah. She goes, look at you and your routine. And it was so nice to think about. There's things that we probably do unknowingly that are part of our automatic pilot that could be really serving us. So one, should be important enough to you that you start to take charge of that automatic pilot, because you can create any habit that you want. You literally could create any habit, good or bad, that you want. And it can become something that you do second nature. Mary said she once drove to work instead of going to her mom's because she lived a few blocks from the hospital. This is really, really a big deal, because automatic pilot is the exact reason why they say that the most accidents happen within 2 miles of your home, because you truly are in automatic pilot. It may become automatic pilot for you on Mondays and Wednesdays that you're on this power hour. It could be automatic pilot for you that every Sunday morning, you're getting up, you're going to church. Whatever it is that you've created for yourself can be either uncreated or you can create new. You can add new to allow yourself so that when you're on this path from A to B, that you're not off course. Because even the smallest off course ends up becoming a really big off course. It could start for me with food. It's like, oh, I'm just going to do this one thing. And then next thing it's, oh, well, if I already had that, I might as well do this. And then I might as well do this. And you get into these habits that do not serve you and then become the reason why you don't reach that ultimate goal. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit more about chapter 13, about learning from mentors. And this one's really big because in our industry, just because, do not throw tomatoes at me, by the way, because this could get under people's skin. Just because someone is your upline does not automatically mean upline does not equal mentor. That's not the only place that you get growth from. And in fact, and this cannot be personal for anyone, it may be that you are not the right person to mentor someone. It really could mean that. And it's their choice. They get to decide. It could be that that's not how they communicate. This is not how I operate. I'm not relating to this person. That is okay. Uplines do not have to be the be all end all for someone. So let me read you this quote. It's from To Kill a Mockingbird. You must hold your head high and keep those fists down, no matter what anyone else says to you. Don't let them get your goat. Try fighting with your head for a change. So this is something that when I read that, I thought to myself, a lot of us, our posture can be either feeling defeated, we can feel empowered, the way that we operate, the steps that we take, all of these are really, really important parts of our journey. But the most important part is to fight with your head for a change. It is your mind that actually directs every bit of where you go, whether you're living in that failure, whether you're living in that success. So when you are starting to grow and when you are starting to experience personal growth, when you are starting to experience the slight edge and making choices about your automatic pilot, it's not just your actions. Have you heard the saying, you don't just look at someone's mouth at what they're saying that they want, but you look at their feet, like what they're actually doing? All of that comes from a decision that they made. The decision, your mind, fight with your head for a change. So now if your head is that important, if your head directs the path that you're going, what's the biggest thing that can affect your mind? Do you know what it is? I'll read you some quotes and you tell me if you can tell me what it is.
Actions.
What affects your mind? I would say your thoughts, your mind would affect your actions. Like switch that. Let me read you these quotes and you tell me if you can think of what's affecting your mind. Birds of a feather flock together. You're known by the company you keep. You're the combined average of the 5 people you associate with the most. Show me where you fish and I'll show you what you catch. What do you think is one of the biggest effectors of your mind?
People, friends.
Which is really, really tough if you're married to one of them. But I happen to have a good one. So, although there are times, sometimes I realize that I've taken on a belief system that he has that I don't actually really think or feel. And so I want you guys all to know, and maybe this is something that you've thought of as well. Especially if you, let's say you're a Christian and you hear these quotes and you think to yourself, well, that's not very nice. Like, why would I not spend time with someone if they're going to affect the way that I think or feel? Like, I should treat people with love and respect. Right. You should treat people with love and respect, but you are actually giving people, I feel like it's passing the Olympic torch. You are giving people the ability to run with you, to affect the way that you think, see, feel, believe. Every bit of the people in your life have an effect on you. And if you would allow yourself to take inventory of who is in your life, who spends the most time with you, let me read you some ways to do this. Okay. If you want to learn how to do something well, find someone who's mastered that skill and apprentice yourself. Okay. So if I say that to you and let's say you have this big goal of Emerald and you're spending time with people that have no goals for ranking up, have no desire really to work the business. They just really like the products. They're not bad, but in what way is that elevating you to move into a place of accomplishment? So you find someone that's done what you want to do. They're not going to have the secret sauce. They're not going to give you some secret trick that you didn't know about. They're literally just that example for you. There's someone that's doing the do that you want to do. So make sure that you've thought about who you are being apprenticed by. Choose your heroes carefully. Are they genuine role models that you want to emulate? Choose your associates. Everything about your life will closely reflect the lives of your 5 closest friends. Sometimes you need to let go. Sometimes you need to form a mastermind. A mastermind is basically saying, why wouldn't 5 minds are better than 1? And that's really fun, because if you've ever been in a group of really, really amazing, strong women, things that you're like, how did their brain even think of that? So I would encourage you guys to think about forming masterminds that maybe meet once a month and say, would you want to get on and just brainstorm really good ideas? And be thinking now. Think about November and December today. Think about the things that you could be doing for your team or for your business that would be ready for winter. Already have a plan, if you can, for even a year out. And these ideas do not come from the wrong associates. You need to be aligning yourself in ways and with people that will allow you to live in the success curve. Sarah said before she had personal mentors, she used books to mentor her. Sarah Robin was her first. She reached out to her after reading her book. When you read with the intent of being mentored, it changes how you process the info. Goodness, that's so true. Because if you're reading the book and you're like, that's interesting information, or this is what this successful person has done, and I want to walk in that same path, it's almost like a mindset shift for that. That's a really good way to look at it. My closest friends are a struggle. They're not bad friends. They just don't encourage or support my business in any way. And I think that you get to choose, is that going to be, are you going to allow their thoughts, their ways of acting, their choices to become part of your automatic pilot? Because remember what I said earlier, if you decide to step out, you're probably going to do it alone. And that's really scary. So especially if your friends don't think that way, it does not make them bad or wrong. It's just, you're not living in alignment with what you feel and believe, what you want, what you're creating, if you are not aligning yourself with people that have that same life philosophy. I was on an island and my honey having I should choose daily storms of thoughts and info that moved me forward even when I was alone. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. Sometimes the stuff that you guys say, I'm just like, wow. We need to write a book, basically, is what this comes down to. All right, let me do this last chapter and then I'm going to tell you what to do with that video. So the last chapter we read for this week was use your slide edge allies. Be not afraid of going slowly. Be afraid only of standing still. Speed is not a requirement for this. Momentum is so great and I love it. And I love creating that speed, but it is not a requirement for success. And a lot of times I've seen people, and in fact, tonight, do not miss this Zoom. Tonight on the 10-10-10, I've got this gal. She was with Plexus a couple of years ago, kind of went inactive. I don't know that whole part of her story, but I know that she was a part, then really wasn't. She has come back, and in this month alone, she has created like a dozen Fast Start Silvers, Fast Start Gold with her husband. She is on the leaderboard. She's in the running for Silver Stars. Like, whoa, how in the world? But think about her journey. Think about Robin Sullivan, who said that it took her, 8 years to get to Diamond? So the speed of which you're going, a lot of times people will quit because that didn't happen for them as quickly as it did for someone else. And the issue with that is you just don't know, fast or slow, the results don't necessarily show you which was better and which was worse. Some people go so slow and they just don't have that motivation and they don't keep what they built. But some people go slow and they built the strongest foundation. It gave them time to be strategic, to create systems. Some people go fast and they have so much success because there's excitement and there's momentum. But some people go fast because they were willing to do anything and everything, including like sell their kitchen sink to be able to achieve what they achieve, but it's not long lasting. Speed does not matter. Okay. Steady matters. Steady wins the race. That's just the truth of it. Steady is what taps into the power of the slide edge. Why would that be? Why would steady tap into the power of the slide edge? Anybody deep that want to share what they think about that? Why would steady be more important?
I'll share. I think it's because of stability.
I like
if you're going slow, you are controlling yourself, you're controlling your actions, you're keeping your family life balanced, you're taking care of yourself simultaneously. So you're building all the good habits that build up a business, a lifetime business.
I agree with you. And I agree that when you, let's just say you're focused on speed, you want to go fast. what ultimately ends up happening is things fall through the cracks because you cannot juggle all of that. You cannot spin that many plates, right? So some of these really important categories of your business are just going to the wayside. So they don't end up becoming part of your automatic pilot in the way that you operate your business. For one, think about this: celebration or recognition, which I love because it's free. Like recognizing your team is free. But if you move in fast, sometimes you don't even know someone did something. Like, and they're probably not going to reach out to you and say, did you know that I just whatever? It's not like you get a little reminder in your back office, like, so-and-so just ranked to silver. Nope, you got to pay attention. And if you are moving so fast, you could miss the opportunity for celebration. That's a really big part of being a Slide Edge ally, is celebrating. Catch yourself and catch other people doing something right. When you honor living in the success curve, that is something that actually draws attention to the success curve, that allows you to want to keep doing that 1%. I like being recognized. I love it when my husband says something beneficial or positive about me, and it makes me want to do it more. So we all need that. Another ally would be reflection. And be careful with this, because I don't want reflection to become reflecting back, where you're looking at the past. You can always learn from things in the past, but when you live in that way, you never are forward focused. It's hard for you to live in responsibility moving towards the future. But if you do use reflection correctly, is you're facing who you are by looking in the mirror and just being honest. Sometimes we have a really hard time with being vulnerable. Remember what I said earlier, that it's fun to play the victim and it's fun to like shift blame. If you can't be honest with yourself about that, like if you heard me say that and you're like, I don't like being the victim. Incorrect. Everybody has some place in their life that they play the victim. When I'm saying all of that, I'm not saying that proudly. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, like I'm so glad that's something I've done or I will do in the future. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm looking at who I am in the mirror and being honest. Just being honest. And it is so powerful for you because it gives you a self-awareness that allows you to start owning yourself, owning your brain, starting fighting with your brain for a change. Another ally is completion. So I talked to my girlfriend about this, and I had no idea that she did this, but I told her why. She said that she'll have a list of things that she has to get done for the day, and there'll be something she did that wasn't on the list. So she'll go back to the list and add this thing that she already did. Leslie does it too. Because what happens is if I add something to the list that I've done, and then I take the time to go, like that little check, even doing it in the air just gave me a thrill. Dopamine floods your brain. I call it the dopamine squirt because I'm like, I really just need a little dopamine squirt right now. So I'm going to write down, I brush my teeth, and then I check it off. And what happens when I do that is I get a thrill that is unmeasured. Like it is unbelievable when you actually can do that. So make a list of the things that you've completed. Make a list of the things that have been left undone. And when you do the list that's undone, Mel Robbins talks about how when she does a brain dump of everything that's in here that's kind of creating chaos and maybe a little bit of pressure, she writes it all down. And then she realizes some of the things, when you see them in black and white, you're like, that doesn't even matter. I don't even really need to do that. So she marks it through. It's no longer an undone. So you might be right now carrying things with you, especially with kids getting ready to go back to school. There might be some things that you wanted to do to get ready for whatever it is. Maybe your teacher going back to school as well. Whatever it is, you're carrying it around in your mind. You're like, I can do that. Like my brain does that. It allows me to carry it around. I promise you that successful people, and you can learn to do this. Don't say it's not part of my personality. This is just not who I am. No, anybody can learn to make lists and create list of done, list of undone plans. You can do that. That is an ally for your Slide Edge. And then one other thing, let's see, we already talked about being steady with momentum. Okay, so our last week for next week will be cultivating Slide Edge habits. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a screenshot, or maybe I can even download this. What I want to see for next week, and I'm going to work on this as well. Let me see if I can show you this that I have. You know how messy my computer screen is, so forgive me. We're going to do this for, I'm moving too fast. Let me show you. Slide Edge goals. We did for the happiness. We're going to do this for lots of different topics. You're going to write down a dream that you have for each of the topics, be specific with it, share as vividly as you can, and then write down a plan that you have to start. Like, what's your plan? Is it going to be next year? Is that a 2023 goal? Is that a August goal? Is that a today goal? And then name one simple daily discipline that you think you can incorporate now that will start moving you in that 1% in that category. So we have it for happiness. We have it for relationships. You're going to have it for personal development, finances, career. I know I'm moving fast. Life. So that's what we're going to focus on for this week to be able to clear out the end of this book. Okay, so that video that I sent, and I can put the link again, here's what you're going to do. If you have someone that's already done the reset, you're going to go back to them and say, I just saw this video and it shows me how much more the reset is than I even imagined. Like what it was doing for your body, it's unbelievable. Makes me not be able to wait until I can do it again. So I'm going to do it in August. Like I'm actually going to do it August 1st, but go to the people who've already done it and just rebuild their belief and say, would you want to do it again in the next however long? You're also going to use the video to go to people that have not done the reset, but you know that they've seen your stories about it. Maybe they've liked a post about it. You know that they're paying attention and say something like this. Hey, I just saw this video. I've also seen that you saw my stories about the reset. And I feel like this would be a really great way for you to understand what it is. Will you watch it? Another thing you can do if you want to invest in your business is you can send that video to everyone, like Raising the Dead scenario. Go back to everyone that hasn't ordered in a really long time and say, I'm doing a whatever, $15, $20 Amazon gift card drawing for anyone that watches this video and tells me their biggest takeaway. And just send the video out, because when they see, who knows Jessica, like if you watched her, she was at training at convention. I'm sorry, but when she says something, she says favor right. Anyone that says favor right, I am going to listen to. Okay. So I'm going to just work. We only have 15 minutes. I'm going to send that video to as many people as I can, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap things up here. So let me go ahead and give you a recap. I am going to send you those sheets that allow you to start thinking about one simple daily discipline you can do in those categories. Number two, what I want you to do is let's go ahead and just hyper focus on the mentor chapter. I want you to be really honest with yourself about who are your heroes, and I'll put all of this in the Power Hour chat. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Okay, I'm writing this down so I remember. And then what are you reading or listening to grow in those areas of personal growth? So I'm going to put all of that in the chat. Tonight we have our 10-10-10, and it will be Alita Langford's going to do an example of how to coach yourself. And then we'll hear from Laura Bland about what she's accomplishing. And then I do need a little bit of feedback. You can private message me, or you could just put it in the Power Hour chat. That 3-day reset group, I don't know if you guys are using it, but we're letting it be self-guided because some people were starting their day 1 on the day 3 day, like they were just getting added in a rolling way. So that I was afraid if I remove the post, then they would be kind of stranded and left with nothing to do. So I guess my question is, if I continue that group just as long as we want to, August, however far out into the distance of the future we need to, is it self-guided going to work? Does that work? So I just like to hear anybody's feedback. I know a lot of people like it cleared off and starting fresh. So let's just talk about that. Tonight's password, Amy, is together. It can't be the other one that I thought I could use. All right. So I have a lot of stuff to send you guys. And next week will be our last week of the Slight Edge. And that's it. I'll see you guys on Wednesday.